Beauty focused on her computer screen, trying to meet a deadline. Her colleague, Sam, sat a few desks away, scrolling through spreadsheets, occasionally looking in her direction. It wasn't the first time he had stolen looks at her. Her beauty was irresistible and effortless. Beauty always seemed to draw his attention. But today, his glances were more purposeful. Sam admired Beauty from the day she joined the firm as a marketing executive. Her confidence, intelligence, and laugh had made her stand out. Yet, he never had the courage to voice his feelings. Beauty, on the other hand, knew about his admiration. She had noticed the way his eyes lit up when she walked into the office or how he always seemed to be around whenever she needed help with anything. And truth be told, she liked him too. But office relationships were tricky, and she wasn't sure if he felt anything more than casual attraction. It had been a long week at work. Deadlines were suffocating, the office politics unbearable, and both Sam and Beauty were desperate for an escape. By the close of work, Sam decided it was now or never. He walked over to her desk, rubbing his palms nervously. "Beauty, good evening," he began, his deep voice carrying a hint of hesitation. She looked up, a soft smile forming on her lips. "Sam, hi. You're still here. Thought you'd have run off by now." No. I've been going through these reports. It's like these people want to kill us with work," he said, faking frustration, and she laughed. "Tell me about it. I can't wait for Friday to come." He hesitated for a moment, then said, "Speaking of the weekend, I was thinking, maybe you'd like to come over to my place tomorrow evening. Just for drinks. Nothing serious. I mean, no pressure." Beauty raised an eyebrow. "Your place? Are you sure you can handle me?" she teased, crossing her arms. Sam laughed nervously, scratching the back of his neck. "Oh, Beauty, don't put me on the spot now. It's just drinks. I promise I'm a good host." She studied him for a moment, her smile widening. "All right then, Sam. I'll come. But don't give me cheap beer, oh." Sam laughed, relief washing over him. "No walla. I'll make sure it's something special." The next evening, Beauty arrived at Sam's modest apartment in Ikeja. The place was clean and well arranged, with a few framed pictures on the walls and the faint scent of vanilla candles in the air. Sam had taken his time to set the mood, ensuring everything was perfect. "Wow, Sam. This place is nice," Beauty said, impressed. "Oh, thank you. I tried small." "Make yourself comfortable," he replied, motioning for her to sit on the couch. He brought out a bottle of wine and 2 glasses, setting them on the table. As they sipped their drinks, they talked about everything. Work, family, life dreams. The conversation flowed effortlessly, and the more they talked, the more their chemistry became undeniable. "You know, Beauty," Sam said after a while, his voice softer, "I've always admired you. From the first day you walked into the office, I knew there was something special about you." Beauty looked at him, slightly surprised but flattered. "Really? Why didn't you say anything?" "I didn't want to make things awkward. But seeing you every day, laughing at my silly jokes, I just couldn't help it," he confessed, looking into her eyes. Beauty felt her cheeks flush. "Well, Sam, I've noticed you too. You're a good guy, and I like you." There was a brief silence, the air thick with unspoken emotions. Then Sam leaned closer, his hand gently brushing against hers. She didn't pull away. Instead, she met his gaze, her heart racing. Before either of them could think twice, Sam leaned in and kissed her. It was soft at first, hesitant, but as she responded, the kiss deepened, becoming more passionate. They pulled back for a moment, both breathing heavily. "Beauty, are you okay?" Sam asked, his voice barely above a whisper. She nodded, smiling. Yes, I am. One thing led to another. As they kissed again, the tension that had built up between them over the months finally spilled over. They moved from the couch to the bedroom, shedding their inhibitions and giving in to the feelings they had both tried to suppress. When Beauty woke up the next morning, the sunlight streaming through the curtains, she felt a mixture of emotions. Excitement, nervousness, and a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. She turned to see Sam beside her, still asleep, a small smile on his face. For the first time, she didn't feel any regret. "Good morning," Sam said groggily as he opened his eyes. "Good morning," Beauty replied, smiling. Sam reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "Beauty, about last night. I don't know what to say, but I'm happy it happened." "Me too," she said softly. And just like that, their relationship began, unexpected, unplanned, but full of potential. Beauty couldn't stop smiling as she walked into the office on Monday morning. The weekend had felt like a blur, but it was the kind of blur she didn't want to forget. Her mind replayed every moment from Friday night. Sam's soft kisses, the way he held her close, how they had laughed in the early hours of the morning like teenagers. She hadn't felt this light in years. "Good morning, madam." Ella, one of her colleagues, greeted with a playful smirk as she walked past Beauty's desk. "Good morning, Ella," Beauty replied, trying to hide her grin as she settled into her chair. But as much as she tried to focus on work, her thoughts kept drifting to Sam. She glanced at his desk across the room. He was typing something on his computer, looking as professional as ever. Occasionally, his eyes darted in her direction, and when their gazes met, they exchanged a knowing smile. The hours dragged on until lunchtime, and just as Beauty was about to take her break, a notification popped up on her phone. "Meet me in the parking lot. Let's grab lunch together." She felt a flutter in her chest and quickly grabbed her bag. They ended up at a small boutique not far from the office, tucked away in a quiet corner of the city. The aroma of freshly prepared jollof rice and grilled fish filled the air, and they both ordered plates heaped with food. "I hope this food is enough to keep you awake for the rest of the day," Sam joked as he poured them cold water from the jug on their table. "I should be telling you that," Beauty replied with a laugh. "After all, you're the one who barely slept all weekend." Sam raised an eyebrow, feigning innocence. "Me? How can you blame me when someone kept me very busy?" She rolled her eyes, but her cheeks flushed. "You're impossible." Sam leaned forward, his tone softening. "You know, I'm glad you came over that night. I've wanted to tell you how I feel for so long, but I was scared you wouldn't feel the same." Beauty looked at him, her heart warming. "Sam, I was scared too. But that night, it felt right. You make me feel safe." Sam reached across the table, gently brushing his fingers against hers. The simple touch sent a shiver down her spine. "Let's make this work," he said quietly. She nodded, smiling. "Let's do it." That evening, Sam texted her again. "Are you free to come over tonight? Let's hang out." She replied, "This is becoming a habit, Sam. Don't you have work to do? I promise I'll let you go early. Please." She laughed and shook her head, but a part of her was already deciding what to wear. By 8 p.m., she was back at his apartment. This time, she felt more relaxed, more comfortable in his space. He had dimmed the lights and lit a few scented candles, the soft glow making the room feel warm and intimate. "You're trying to impress me again, aren't you?" she teased as she walked in. Sam smiled, handing her a glass of wine. "Is it working?" She took a sip and smirked. "Maybe." They sat on the couch, talking about everything and nothing. The conversation flowing effortlessly. But as the night wore on, the air between them grew heavier, charged with unspoken tension. Sam leaned closer, his hand brushing against her thigh. "Beauty," he began, his voice barely above a whisper, "do you have any idea how beautiful you are?" Her breath caught. "Sam." Before she could say more, he cupped her face gently and kissed her. This time, the kiss wasn't hesitant. It was full of passion, of desire they had both been suppressing. His lips were warm and soft, moving against hers with an intensity that left her breathless. She wrapped her arms around his neck, pulling him closer. His hands found their way to her waist, holding her tightly as if he couldn't bear to let go. They moved together, their kisses deepening, their breathing growing heavier. Sam's lips trailed down to her neck, planting soft, lingering kisses that sent waves of electricity through her body. She tilted her head back, letting out a soft sigh as his hands explored her back. "Sam," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. He pulled back slightly, looking into her eyes. "Are you okay?" She nodded, smiling. "Yes. More than okay." They moved to the bedroom, their laughter and whispers filling the air as they undressed each other slowly. Every touch, every kiss felt deliberate, as if they were savoring the moment. Sam's hands traced the curves of her body, his touch firm yet gentle. She responded in kind, running her fingers through his hair and along his chest. The world outside faded away, leaving just the two of them, lost in their shared passion. When they finally came together, it was like nothing else existed. The connection between them was raw, intense, and deeply emotional. They moved in sync, their bodies perfectly attuned to each other. Afterward, they lay tangled in each other's arms, the room quiet except for the sound of their breathing. Beauty rested her head on Sam's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "I could get used to this," she murmured, a content smile on her face. Sam kissed her forehead. "You don't have to get used to it. This is us now." The next morning, Beauty woke up to the smell of coffee and eggs. She smiled, pulling the blanket closer around her. "Good morning, Sleeping Beauty," Sam called from the doorway, holding a tray of breakfast. "Good morning," she replied, sitting up. "You're spoiling me already." "Get used to it," he said, placing the tray on her lap. They ate together, laughing and talking about the day ahead. For the first time in a long while, Beauty felt truly happy. Sam leaned back in his chair, his eyes fixed on the computer screen. But his mind drifted to Beauty. From his desk, he could see her sitting at her station, lost in her work. Her head tilted slightly, her pencil tapping lightly on the edge of her notebook. She had this habit of biting her lower lip when she was focused, and it was driving him mad. The feelings he had been holding back for months were now undeniable. He wanted her, not just for the fleeting night they'd shared, but in every way possible. As if she sensed his gaze, Beauty looked up and caught his eye. She arched an eyebrow, a teasing smile playing on her lips. He grinned back, quickly typing out a message. "My place tonight. Let me make it up to you for the spaghetti disaster last time." Beauty responded, "Are you sure your cooking skills can handle redemption?" Sam replied, "My kisses make up for whatever the cooking lacks." She blushed, glancing around to make sure no one was watching. "Fine. 7 p.m. Don't burn anything," she replied. The evening arrived, and Beauty found herself standing at Sam's door, a bottle of wine in hand. She could already hear soft Afrobeat music playing inside. The door opened, and Sam stood there, wearing a casual t-shirt that hugged his chest and jeans that fit just right. His cologne hit her instantly, warm, musky, and undeniably sexy. "You look stunning," Sam said, his eyes lingering on her navy dress that hugged her curves. "Flatterer," she replied, stepping inside. The apartment was cozy, lit with warm lights and scented candles. "I promised redemption," Sam said, gesturing to the dining table, where plates of jollof rice, grilled chicken, and sautéed vegetables were already set. "You cooked this?" she asked skeptically. "Okay, fine, I might have had some help from Mama T's food delivery," he admitted with a laugh. They ate, the conversation flowing easily. Every laugh, every smile felt electric. But there was something else in the air, an unspoken tension that had been building since that first night. After dinner, they moved to the couch, the bottle of wine now half empty. The music had slowed, and the mood was more intimate. Sam turned to her, his expression soft yet intense. "You drive me crazy, Beauty," he said, his voice low. "I've wanted you for so long, and now I can't stop thinking about you." She didn't reply immediately, her heart racing. Instead, she leaned closer, her hand resting on his chest. "Sam." Before she could say more, his lips were on hers. At first, the kiss was gentle, a soft brushing of lips, testing, teasing. His hand cupped her cheek, his thumb grazing her skin as he deepened the kiss. His lips were warm and firm, moving against hers with a mix of hunger and tenderness. Beauty let out a small sigh, her hand sliding up his chest and wrapping around his neck. Sam took this as encouragement, pulling her closer until there was no space left between them. His other hand moved to her waist, gripping her firmly yet gently. The kiss became more urgent, more consuming. Sam's lips traveled to her jawline, pressing soft kisses that sent shivers down her spine. He found the sensitive spot just below her ear, and when he kissed it, she gasped, her nails lightly digging into his shoulders. "You're so beautiful," he murmured against her skin, his voice thick with desire. His hands began to explore, sliding down to her hips and back up, tracing her curves. He paused, looking into her eyes as if seeking permission. When she nodded, he gently guided her onto his lap, her legs straddling him. Their kisses grew deeper, more passionate. Sam's hands moved up her sides, brushing against her ribs before finally settling on her breasts. He cupped them through the fabric of her dress, his thumbs grazing her hardened nipples. Beauty moaned softly, arching into his touch. The sound seemed to ignite something in Sam. He slid the straps of her dress off her shoulders, his lips following their path down her collarbone. When the dress fell to her waist, he paused to take her in, his eyes filled with awe. "You're perfect," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. He leaned down, pressing his lips to the swell of her breast, his hands caressing her waist and back. Beauty's fingers tangled in his hair, pulling him closer. His mouth found one nipple, teasing it with his tongue, while his hand massaged the other. She gasped, her body trembling under his touch. "Sam," she whispered, her voice thick with need. He lifted her off his lap, carrying her to the bedroom with ease. The soft light of the bedside lamp cast a warm glow on their intertwined bodies. He laid her gently on the bed, his lips never leaving hers. Sam took his time undressing her fully, his fingers grazing her skin as he removed each piece of clothing. He kissed every inch of exposed skin, his lips leaving a trail of fire down her body. When they finally came together, it was with a passion that left them both breathless. Their bodies moved in perfect rhythm, their connection deeper than just the physical. It was raw, intense, and filled with unspoken emotions that neither of them could deny any longer. Afterward, they lay tangled in each other's arms, their breathing slowly returning to normal. Sam kissed the top of her head, his fingers tracing circles on her back. "Do you regret this?" he asked softly. Beauty looked up at him, her eyes shining. "Not even for a second." The morning sun streamed through the curtains, waking them gently. Beauty stirred, realizing she was still wrapped in Sam's arms. He was already awake, watching her with a soft smile. "Good morning," he said, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "Good morning," she replied, her voice still groggy. Sam tightened his hold on her. "I don't want this to end, Beauty." I want us. For real. She smiled, her heart swelling. I want that too. From that day forward, their relationship flourished. They were no longer just colleagues or casual lovers, they were partners, building something real and beautiful together. Thank you so much for watching this story to the end. I am glad you did. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos like this one.